So this morning, I would want or like, it's good to choose your words correctly every time you start a broadcast in the morning. I would wish all the KCSE candidates success in their examinations. KCSE, by the way, started yesterday, where it was it English, paper 1? Yes, where they sat that paper. And let me just give you a couple of that. It's actually today. It's actually going to start today. Today is Tuesday. Yes, indeed. Today, that's when it's going to start. Is it? So yesterday they had a rehearsal. That's how disconnected we are from what goes on in the older system of education, KCSE. Does it really matter so much, you know? Because I got here from 8 to 9, from 8 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. today. They'll be doing mathematics, paper 1. It's gonna take 2 hours and 30 minutes. No, but hold on. Mathematics used to be paper 1 and 2 in one exam. Am I wrong? No. Actually, no. So you would do, yes, it's one paper. Yeah? So they would do mathematics, take a break. Yeah? And that break is going to be, so they'll start the exams today in the morning at 8, go all the way to 10:30 a.m. That is mathematics. Paper 1 and paper 2 are in the same. There was nothing like mathematics paper 1, it was just mathematics. Am I wrong? Yes, it was just mathematics. Yeah? That they would do for 2 hours. That was part 1 and part 2. Part B had what? Was it 4 questions? Where if you get the first one wrong, the rest of it is going to be, you're going to get it wrong. Because the answer that you use for question 1 is what is going to determine whether you're going to get the answer for part 2, part 3, you know? That's how it was. So if you get the answer wrong, it's not even, actually it was never about the answer, it was about the method. If you get the method wrong in question 1, part A, then the rest of it is wrong. Teachers never used to mark it. There was a method wrong. So A0 to the rest of it. If the method is right, the answer could have been wrong, you know? Yes, that was part B, mathematics. Was it 5 questions? Was it 3 questions? Yeah, you had to choose what? Was it 2? It's been a long time. It's not been such a long time, but it's been a long time. I can't remember the total number of questions that you had to answer. Good. All right. Then they will take a break today, and that break is going to be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. today. That's quite a long break. Ooh. You know, doing what? All right. Then they will sit a paper today from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's going to be English, comprehension, literally, appreciation, and grammar. That's going to last 2 hours, 30 minutes again. I'll be proud to say that I completed my English paper in a record 1 hour. Yeah, the rest of that time, I wondered what I was going to do with it, you know? But I do remember how it was. Good. This is the timetable for today. And it's going to continue like this for the next 3 weeks, if I'm not wrong. Yes, because I have to complete 8 subjects within this period. As we do know, some of them had started some time back, like those guys who would do agriculture, like me. We started our exams way back then. Science projects, computer projects, home science. It did start some time back, way back actually, at the beginning of this year. And some of you would know whether you have an A or not yet in some of this. I had a friend of mine who failed this computer project. So he knew very well that he had to do his theory and score 70, or else he was gonna fail. And I'm glad to report that he got a B. Yeah. So this is what it is. All right. So from the Look Up TV fraternity, we wish all the KCSE candidates the very best in your examinations. They will not determine how your life is going to be. No, they will not. In fact, even if you get a C plus, I'm not telling you to get a C plus, even if you get a D minus, it will not determine how your life is going to be. I know your teacher have told you, if you don't pass CRE, your life is messed up. If you don't pass mathematics, your life is messed up. I know your teachers have given you those examples. Like, you apply mathematics everywhere, even in your daily decisions. No, you're not gonna. Well, partly, but what is important is you get that knowledge. CRE, I don't think you're gonna apply CRE anywhere in your life. You go to church and that's it. All right, we wish you the very best. You step out, come outside here so that we can teach you what life is. In school, you've not been taught about life. Anyway, let me not talk so much about what's going on in school today. But by the way, there's also grade 9. Grade 9 is KCPE, which they've already done, I would imagine, and grade 6 as well. So those ones were as well doing those examinations. And I've been informed in the studio here today that there are only 2 cycles of KCSE left. So if you're in Form 2 currently as it is, you're gonna do you're gonna be the last guys to do KCSE. Then after that, we'll be having completely a different curriculum or examinations really on how you are graded, whether you're gonna go to university or not, And remember, it's 100% transition, isn't it? So it's good times to be a student currently as it is in Kenya, because some of us had to pass, get an A, a B plus, a B as the last grade for you to go to university. B minus will never see you go to university, But we aced it, as they say. Good. We are online at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. There's just a lot that we're going to talk about this morning, but most importantly, we're going to talk about youth involvement in the decisions the political parties are currently making as they gear towards the 2027 general elections. As we put it online, we asked, youth? What youth? Because as we can say, even from the united opposition in the country, from the bigger political parties in the country, the likes of UDA and ODM, youth have been maligned in the decisions that are currently being made. You would think that now is the time for them to come out, especially after the much politicized Gen Z protests in the country last year. You would think now will be the time, but as it stands, it's not yet there. This morning, we talk about that on a greater depth. I will be introducing the guests who will be joining us this morning to help us go through this conversation. And you can get involved on the hashtag, The Morning Drift, and at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. I've got to say hi to a couple of people this morning who told me to say hi to them. I do know, Chris, you're watching this morning from Mombasa. Good morning, sir. Tom Odero, you're watching also from Mombasa this morning. You're supposed to be here this morning, but you're not feeling okay. But you said you're going to watch this morning. Good morning, sir. All right, on that note then, let's take a look at what it is that you're waking up to this morning on your day list. And as usual, we're going to begin with the Daily Nation this morning as you go to work. These are the major headlines here. By the way, Tanzania is trending, but we want to talk about that. I'm just waiting for the Daily Nation to be posted right here on the screen behind me. The bigger story here is death toll now rises to 30 as state reveals 14 learners among the victims. And by the way, it means that the victims of the landslides that we're talking about in the country, that was in Teso, means that these learners were going to school to do their examinations. Because as we know, schools have closed. Now, for residents of some villages in the hilly Elgeyo Marakwet County, the events of the last 4 days are straight out of a horror movie. One moment, they are full of life, sharing evening meals before going to bed. The next, they lie either lifeless or injured under heaps of soil and huge rocks, their homes swallowed by the ground or pounded flat. That story has been covered on page 213. And by the way, those are the pictures that are trending this morning from Elgeyo Marakwet County. And there's a story here of 14 learners now feared to be among the victims of those who've passed. And it's so sorry, a state that is, because we do know that those must be candidates, either those ones doing their KCSE examinations, grade 9, or the grade 6, that's the junior secondary qualification examinations. It's a sad state of affairs because we do know schools are actually closed currently as it is, to allow the 3 cadre of candidates that I've just mentioned to go right ahead and do their examinations. So this kind of headlines are actually a sorry state of headlines that we gotta go through this morning, and it doesn't really look good as that toll now at 30. May their souls rest in peace, and we also condole with the families who have to come to terms with the loss of their families this morning. Those are the residents who are in one home in Kipkenda village. Those are the pictures that we're seeing right there on the Daily Nation this morning. Keyo North, Elgeyo Marakwet County, where a woman and a grandson died following a mudslide on Sunday night. And by the way, if you look at what the weatherman is talking about this morning, these rains are going to continue across major parts of the country, and especially the highlands areas in the region. What we do know, especially today in the morning, some parts of Nairobi are actually experiencing heavy rainfall. We've seen also reports from Nakuru County as well, where there's a lot of rainfall that is coming down within this period. These rains are going to continue all the way to mid-December, according to the weatherman. So we do hope that indeed this silence won't continue. But there's little to nothing that we can do, because we don't know. At this time of the year, this kind of headlines also come perennially from Elgeyo Marakwet. I mean, this is a central land. It's not like they can't be moved to different places. And this is exactly what it is. I mean, you can't leave home. It's a prayer for good luck every time we get to this period for within September and December. That's when we get this kind of headlines from Elgeyo Marakwet. Good. So let's look at other headlines that have been covered here. Samia sworn into office in private ceremony. That story has been covered on page 4 and 5. It's reminiscent of the, and I say this because we do know how it went down in the country, reminiscent of the 2007 swearing in of President Mwai Kibaki. We do remember. It was in a private ceremony at night. Yeah. You would have expected Samia Hassan Suluhu would have taken the route that the rest of the presidents in Africa normally take, where it becomes a pompous ceremony, you know, where heads of state are invited and you go in, becomes a big ceremony across the country. No, it did not happen like that. By the way, Kithure Kindiki, the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya, was there. And then when you count the heads of states who attended, not so many. Not so many. How many were there? You count like 2, because I had Zanzibar president was there, but I didn't hear any head of state attend that ceremony. I'll be telling you what the president, that is President Dr. William Ruto, has spoken about that appointment. But then what you gotta know is that Tanzania, the way it is, you cannot challenge a presidential election results in court. You cannot. No, you cannot. You can't go to court and say, stop the swearing in until we are done with this challenge. I mean, their law, their constitution doesn't provide for that. Also, it also doesn't provide on how and when the president can get sworn in. Because in the country, as it is right here, you've got to wait for 2 weeks to allow for the opposition and anybody aggrieved by that election to go in and file a court case. And after that, that's when the swearing in ceremony happens. And you know that in our country, it's got to happen between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Beyond that, talk about the fruits of our constitution. That's the 2010 constitution, which, by the way, Raila Amolo Odinga also helped put in place, you know. Talk about democracy, and I'll be telling you why a certain media house is trending this morning because of these headlines. Let's cross over then and talk about the rest of the dailies that you're waking up to this morning, which is the Standard, and this is what they have, a bloody crown. That's what's trending this morning. That apart from Zambia's Hakainde Hichilema, whose own rise from a jail cell under Edgar Lungu Mira's Tanzanians Tundu Lissu. Most of the leaders who flocked to Dodoma for President Samia Suluhu's swearing in carried the same tarnish. Among them, I'll read it again because Standard again is trending this morning for this particular reason here. That apart from Zambia's Hakainde Hichilema, whose own rise from a jail cell under Edgar Lungu Mira's Tanzanians Tundu Lissu, most of the leaders who flocked to Dodoma for President Samia Suluhu's swearing in covered the same tarnish. Among them was Kenya's Deputy President Kithure Kindiki, hardened by last year's Gen Z protests that left scores dead. Together, they stood a fraternity of power honed in silencing dissent, shielding the regimes from scrutiny, and securing victory through the shadows of disputed elections. Biting headline right there. And Kithure Kindiki, by the way, has been involved in it. Yeah? Sema mchanganyiko maalum kwa hiyo headline. Kithure Kindiki amewekwa ndani. Anasema nilienda celebrate Samia Hassan Suluhu kwa sababu the same way you guys came to power is the same way that she came to power. It's not me, it's just Standard this morning. And we're going to talk about what majority of Kenyans are talking about this morning, about this particular headline. There it is. And you can see the picture that the Standard has used there. Pictures emanating from Tanzania of the protesters who died, I don't want to say killed, but who died in the protest this morning. And this is what they're saying, that's Mohammed Ibrahim, that banning opposition parties, shutting the internet and shooting demonstrators, most of them young people, an election that excludes the opposition cannot be considered legitimate. That is Mohammed Ibrahim talking about the elections in Tanzania. Good. Guess what? The Standard is trending this morning. On that note, then, I would like us to cross to what is trending in the country this morning. And I will tell you, it's going to touch on some of these issues here. And I will start with the first trend that we're seeing here today, which is Standard. It's trending this morning, and majority of Kenyans have been speaking about it. And I'll give you some of the comments that I'll give you just a summary of what the Standard has spoken about this morning, where others would rather choose darkness. We shine the light from Kenya to Tanzania and beyond. And this are some of the headlines that they've covered from Tanzania. I'll just read a couple of them and then see exactly what majority of Kenyans are talking about. Tanzania massacre, we covered it here. Suluhu goes mute, we covered it here. Darkness in Dar, we covered it here. Samia versus Suluhu. Do you remember that one? If I explain what that means, then that means we're not doing a good job as journalists. Yeah, define Suluhu. Now let's see exactly what Kenyans are talking about. This particular headlines. I've got Abdi saying Africa needs voices that tell our stories with courage, depth, and integrity. When others turn away, true journalism rises. To inform, unite, and give voices to the voiceless. We thank you a lot for standing with the people of Tanzania. That is J. Electronica from Tanzania this morning. Somebody saying, where are the Kasongo headlines? That's 1 hour. That's at Iyo Moturi. Dan was saying, you nailed it. The kind of media we want. Also some of the headlines then that we've seen covered by the Standard this morning as well. Let me just read a couple of comments as well. This is Ian who's saying, maybe your headlines are a bit too harsh. Report, do not declare, do not judge, report the facts. That is this morning, all right? Go right ahead and say, I'll always be proud of this kind of headlines that represent what is going on the ground, in spite of what the political class thinks. That is Shina this morning on this particular headline for the Standard. KCSE is trending. Do we need to talk about it again? Yeah? Kenyans, do you want to talk about KCSE? Anyway, we've already started the show by KCSE. Let me just read a couple of remarks here from Kenyans. We see exactly what it is. Just looking for a proper headline, all right? Solai, who's saying KCSE English Paper 1 waliletewa speech. Kuzi yangu ananisho alianza na mimi ndiye Sifuna. Sijawahi isha hivyo. English Paper 1 was never about speech. It was about grammar, comprehension and reading skills. So Solai usidanganye bwana. Yeah? Hata kama unatafuta hits online, tunajua vile English Paper 1 inakaa. Yeah? Kwanjiru is saying KCSE class of 2018, mkwaje mentally and financially. 2018 was 6 years ago. Yeah? It's a Gen Z talking about KCSE this morning. All right? I think I have guys in the studio must have been doing KCSE in 2018. Probably this is their tweet this morning. They will tell us how they are doing financially and mentally. Yeah? Tutauliza after this. This is Wanjiru. I will ask about them. I know some of them are in the studio. They will tell us how they are doing. 2018 was 6 years ago. Yeah. All right. Finally, then this morning, I've got a tweet here from Jen who's saying, "We wish all the." Let me just read this one. Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, DPP urges integrity as KCSE exams begin. The Director of Public Prosecutions, Ranson Ingonga, CBS, joined examination officials and teachers in overseeing the distribution of Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education KCSE examination papers at Kakamega, and he has also asked the examinations be carried out with integrity across the country. Fantastic. Is KCSE important? Maybe Wanjiru will be asking the guys as well in the studio, the guys who did KCSE in 2018, whether it's not important in deciding how their life is going to be, you know? I'll ask them, and then I'll come back and talk about it before we step out of the studio this morning. I think that's pretty much it. Tanzania is trending as well, and we do know why. Samia Hassan Suluhu was sworn in a private ceremony, all right? And we do know, according to the electoral body of Tanzania, she won that election by 97.66%, yeah? And was announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission on November 1st, marking a first full term after succeeding John Magufuli in a 2021. But what we don't know is that the main opposition, the likes of Tundu Lissu, were jailed and were never allowed to participate in this election. Now, the ruling Chama cha Mapinduzi party won 272 of the 272 parliamentary seats. Ooh, you know? Well, the opposition, Chadema, boycotted the polls, rejected the results as fraudulent, and faced arrests of key figures like Tundu Lissu beforehand, right? We do know that nationwide protests then followed, hundreds of deaths and the internet blackout and international concerns over the excessive force and irregularities. That's exactly where we stand this morning. So let me just read a couple of tweets here. James Orengo is saying, "I wish to express solidarity with and support for the valiant men and women of Tanzania. East Africa leaders must introspect. Glad to see portraits of Raila Odinga flying high in Dar, appreciating his progressive politics. The people of Tanzania will overcome." That's what he said this morning. Final tweet here this morning on Tanzania, that out of the 37 million registered voters in Tanzania, Samia has garnered 31 million votes and won the elections. All right? Hata kama ni kuiba kura bwana, iba na wisdom. That's what Atmaina Eve has tweeted this morning. And then lastly, on this particular tweet, I'll read this one. Just looking for something that is palatable this morning, so I don't shock you this morning. Finally, I've got Senator Kiprotich Arap Cherargei. Okay. Congratulations, Suluhu, for winning against Samia in the Tanzania general elections, including getting 270 parliamentary seats against the 272 seats. Your Excellency Suluhu, celebrate in magnanimity and now start the process of a handshake, broad-based government with an aim of forming an inclusive government. Now also start the process of writing a new constitution to reflect the wishes of the people of Tanzania. The message of Tanzania people is loud and clear that there shouldn't have been no elections without reforms, plus expanded democratic space, plus progressive human rights. Let me just go read for you the first line as well. Congratulations, H.H. Suluhu, for winning against Samia. Not me. It's what is tweeted. Just before we step out of this morning then, food for thought. Gatanga Member of Parliament Edward Muriu is seeking to table a bill in Parliament seeking that the announcement of presidential results be at constituency level. He's saying there is no reason whatsoever as to why the presidential results should be tallied at the Bomas of Kenya. That what we announce at the constituency level becomes final, and that tally then becomes what we carry as the final count. You agree? Good. That's exactly what we have for you this morning in terms of your major trends. Guess what? Majority of this has also been covered on our social media platforms. That is a Lookup TV across all of them. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, let's look at some of the decisions that political parties are making in the country. Are they including the youth? And where are the youth voices in it? I'll be introducing a couple of guests who are joining us this morning for this conversation. Join us online at Lookup TV across all of them. Once we come back from this break, my name is Simba Elijah Charles King. See you shortly.
Hey, you asked for the vibes and we brought the vibes. Okay.
Welcome to Gen Z Vibes, where the entertainment never sleeps.
From blockbuster movies to music that bangs.
Experiment. Where is he? No matter what comes my way.
From fashion that eats to celeb gossip that shops.
We are the plug. And if it's trending, you already know we are on it.
It's real, it's raw, and it's giving Gen Zs.
Come for the vibe, stay for the tips, and leave feeling 10 out of 10, minus nothing. This is Gen Z Vibes, where the vibes never stop vibing.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
How easy is it for you to forgive someone who has hurt you?
How easy is it?
What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many color.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. They look familiar. Have we met before? No. We met in
Nobody's buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
I recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
All right, welcome back to Look Up TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. You are just in time then for our big conversation this morning. Let me just lay background to what we're talking about this morning so that you can also be a part of it. There's a lot of conversations now on what political parties are doing in the running to the 2027 general elections, which is just but a year away from where we are right now, going by the fact that we're already in November officially. And we've seen across the country there are a lot of conversations on how the opposition is shaping up for that political showdown that's going to go down in a 2027. The question then is going to be, as we talk about this, we've come from what has been viewed as a political shift in the country, as being Gen Z protests in the country that have really come to define how the current administration is approaching politics in the country majorly in 2024. And so you would have imagined that some of the decisions that the political parties will be making right now will be heavily tied to what the youth have been demanding across the country. This morning, I want us to look at the major issues that our political parties really have to solve come 2027, if indeed youth are going to be involved in these conversations that we are talking about. This morning, the question or our topic is just about how 2027 parties are now making decisions for their politics, and even indeed youth are involved in it. This morning, then, let me introduce the gentleman who's joining us for our conversation this morning. We are joined by Maobe Victor, who is the CIC, Kenya Economic Freedom Fighters. How are you doing, sir? That's great. I'm happy to have you around as well. Also this morning, we were supposed to be joined by Kaikai Naipame, who's the CEO, Youth Champions for Sustainable Development Goals, but I do want to apologize in a place that she wasn't able to make it to the studio this morning. Either way, we continue with our conversation this morning. So for the next couple of minutes, then, you can also get involved and look up TV across all your social media platforms. I'm also at Kiage Simba this morning. Let me just then introduce what we have this morning. If you look at what the ODM party is doing specifically in the conversations for who is supposed to take the mantle in that party in the leading to the 2027 general elections, a lot of conversation has been around what we need to do, what they need to do, as a political party then, to have the leaders who can help them clinch those elections in 2027. But what we've seen in the entire of those conversations, it looks as if the youth have not been for to those conversations. And that's exactly what we've looked at majorly this morning. So the question then is going to be, are the political parties in the country ready to involve youth in their decisions politically in the running to the 2027 general elections? Okay. Why are the youth in this conversation? Why haven't we seen political parties come up to say the youth are going to be the front runners to the elections in 2027? Victor, just you're gonna give me just a minute. I'm getting told we have sound issues this morning from our technicians this morning, so I beg we take a tiny little breather therefore, because we've already laid the background to our conversation this morning. We sort out Victor's mic. Once we come back, this conversation will then officially begin. You're watching Look Up TV. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. After this tiny breather, we come back.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasi wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
How easy is it for you to forgive someone who has hurt you?
How easy is it?
What are some tips, a person can apply to improve their public speaking skills?
We all have personality lazy somewhere around us.
In my mind, whenever I'm invited for a public speaking event, I don't like to put a lot of, accessories or too many colors.
What are the major things to look out when choosing a school for a child?
Another cheesy conversation starter is, men do this a lot. They look familiar. Have we met before? No. We met in
Nobody is buying that line again.
No, we don't. We don't buy it anymore.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Pindi tu taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza alikuwa na ria wasi wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Do you need a dose of hope? If so, you are in the right place. We think of ourselves around here as hope dealers, delivering truth, power, and inspiration to hearts and minds all over the world. If nothing else has worked for you, why not give the God thing a try? For it's in the presence of God that you'll find everything that you need. Amen.
Right, welcome back. We do apologize for that short technical hitch that we had to go through, but now we are back again. So that means our conversation then officially kicks in this morning. And before we went on break, I did ask our guest this morning, where are the youth in the decisions that political parties are making currently as it is, as they lead into the 2027 general elections? Why are the youth missing in the main conversation of these political parties? I mean, as we talk about today, we do know that UDA already has its presidential candidate. Even the deputies, as they're talking about, there's no youth conversation anywhere in it. Even when you look at the ranks of UDA, you're going to struggle to find youth leadership within that party's hierarchy. Let's go to what we're seeing now in the united opposition, led by one Rigathi Gachagua and Kalonzo Musyoka and Martha Karua. You would look at what they did yesterday in announcing them getting ready for the party, for the elections that we're going to see on 27th of this November. We didn't see any youth leadership representation in that lineup that they had as well. Jubilee is already appointed its flag bearer for 2027 general elections. You would think they would have gone youthful, but they haven't. They've picked Fred Matiang'i as well to lead them into the 2027 general elections. You would imagine that after the 2024 Gen Z protest in the country that shaped the kind of government we have currently, you would imagine that all the political parties in the country will start to have conversations around involving youth in their decisions. Why haven't we seen it?
Thank you again. All I'd say is that when you look at the history of political parties in this country, in 1963 and before, we had about 2 political parties. There was KANU and there was KADU. And later on, in 1980s, the constitution was amended or changed, and we only had one party, which was KANU.
Yes.
The members of the other parties were persuaded to join the KANU party. And then in 1991, December, it's when there was repealing of Section 2A that allowed for multipartyism. And then we came to 1992, there was a competitive election, but Moi retained. In 1997, there was also a competitive election with other parties involved. And again, Moi retained, which was KANU. But in 2002, we saw that the KANU leadership was put to an end by the NARC coalition. Now, if you look at that history, it's not been easy in this country to own a political party until the repealing of Section 2A, where multipartyism was allowed.
Yes.
Now, look at the foundation or the basis of formation of political parties in this country. We were just talking about the ODM party. The demise of the party leader, may he rest in peace, came so sudden, no one expected it. However, after his demise, we saw that Oburu Odinga, his brother, was appointed to head the party. Doesn't ODM, and when you look into the ranks of the ODM party, Oburu was not among the deputy party leaders. What does the constitution of ODM say? Once the party leader, in the absence of the party leader, the deputy party leader step in. So there is a legal framework, rather in the constitution, on what was supposed to be done.
Yes.
And now it's sad enough that they are saying they are going to have a meeting and Oburu Odinga might be officially confirmed from the acting capacity into assuming the office of the party leader. What law are they using in this? So you find that these political parties were formed with the main intention of fighting and consolidating to win power. However, the reason as to why the Gen Z protest occurred, it was because of economic reasons. It was not about the democratic reasons or representation issues. It was about economic issues. When you look at that bill, the financial bill of 2024, it was economically oppressing Kenyans. And Kenyans united across all board simply because they felt that we are going to be oppressed economically. In the struggle for economic liberation, which is the third liberation, and I think that's where we are headed towards the African continent.
Yes.
Led by South Africa, you can see I'm putting on a red beret. This is it's a sign of the economic freedom fighters, similar with the mother body in South Africa. South Africa is leading the struggle for economic liberation. However, the entire African continent is feeling the heat of economic liberation, but most people are not able to differentiate between the previous struggle and this struggle. When you look at the current constitution of political parties, you've talked about Rigathi Gachagua heading the DCP party. We're talking about Kalonzo Musyoka heading the Wiper party. We are talking about DAP Kenya, Eugene Wamalwa. Look at the age bracket of those people. Most of them come from the previous era where they fought for democracy.
That's it.
And they took part in the fight for democracy and multipartyism. So for them, political parties mean a lot to them. It's like a vehicle that might propel them to power or to form coalitions into power. However, the reason as to why the Gen Zs are still a step behind in joining these political parties and also in registering as voters. We've seen the voter registration campaign is on, but most young people are yet to turn out to register as voters. It's because these political parties are not made in the image and likeness of young people.
Yes.
The image and likeness of the aspirations of young people.
Yes.
Young people are beyond the regionalism, are beyond the regional factors that consolidate people into these political parties. Most young people feel like, I have friends from different communities and different regions. The only difference that we have is classism. And if we cannot fight this classism, then it means nothing. If we join these political parties, what are we said to gain?
Yes.
Look at young people like Babu Owino, for instance, in ODM party. Babu Owino is young and vibrant. However, the party is not giving him an opportunity to serve at any substantial position. In fact, they are suppressing him.
Whose fault is it that he's not been given that opportunity? Has that always been our case in this country, Victor, that we're waiting to be given as a youth? Now, somebody put this question to you, and I'm going to put it to you this morning. If you look at when the youth in this country had the biggest voices, in fact, they became an example to the rest of Africa, is during the 2024 period when we had the Gen Z protest across the country. And somebody pointed out one thing, that they were calling themselves partyless and tribeless. That these are guys who came together to push for proper governance in the country and fight for their rights. Is that a mistake that the Kenyan youth are still making? That we don't want to identify to a particular party, that we are individuals who want proper leadership. But then, Victor, if you want proper leadership in this country, you have to have a movement, have a party leader as a youth in this country, have a party for the youth in this country, and present youth to these positions in this country. Is that what we're feeling? That we're still waiting to be given? That, for lack of a better word, that we don't have I wanted to use that word, that even the youth in these parties do not have the courage to come in and say, you know what, if you're not giving us these positions, this is exactly what's going to happen. What is making Babu Owino not come out rightly and say, there's a vacuum here now within this party, and that the youth in this party have to come and clinch this position? What is it making him not push for elections within that party so they can find a party leader?
That's a very good question, but I will answer it in phases. First, looking at the current constitution of political parties in this country, looking at people like Babu Owino, they're already elected members of parliament. They're elected on particular party tickets. Look at Edwin Sifuna. He's serving as Nairobi Senator under the ODM party ticket. So for these elected leaders to make a bold move and maybe start a political movement, it's going to be so difficult for them because they are serving at the mercy of the existing political parties.
Yes.
And again, secondly, when you look at the foundation of this country, we've not had pro-people organizations or movements that really come out and champion for the interest of the general masses.
That's it.
For instance, our lecturer strike is getting into, is it the second month now?
That's it.
We have political parties existing. We have the United Opposition. None of them has shelved their political ambition for 2027 and said, we are going to join the lecturers in the streets until their demands are met. Most of them are saying we are consolidating so that we can win power in 2027. This is a capitalist mindset. And when you look at our foundation, this has always been the case all through. Secondly, the youth came out in their numbers in 2024 and rejected the finance bill. However, we've seen how events have been unfolding right after the protest. The government has come after them. It's trying to silence the voices. In fact, there's a bill which has been presented in Parliament today, and it's causing public outcry that during public participations, there are going to be rules that are going to guide public participation. And then they proceed to say that you have to be respectful, you have to be what. So they're trying to do what? To suppress the democratic space that you already have in this country. So that government targeting of these young people, there is no one who is trying to mentor them and show them that it's really possible for you to come up with political outfits that are going to champion for economic liberation in this country or to fight for economic emancipation in this country. They are being suppressed, they are being abducted, they are being killed. You know, some have been implicated, some are serving sentences. Right now, people like Bob Njagi, we don't even know where they are. The country has not given even any statement, an official statement.
Yes.
Our Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they've not even written to the Ugandan government asking about the whereabouts of these two individuals. So you find that young people are trying to rise up. However, these people that are already in positions of power, they've already tested and they've known how sweet power is.
Yes.
They're only consolidating, and it's very easy for them to work with each other.
Yes.
This united opposition today, you will be surprised some of them might go to work with the government. Right now, we have people in the united opposition who have donated people into government, and they're saying that we've donated experts to work with the government. The problem that we have in this country, it's not about representation of young people in these political parties.
Yes.
It's about the policy perspective of these political parties.
Is it also possible that the young people in this country just do not have a plan? Because we can't sit here, Victor, and keep on saying from time to time that the young people are not presented in these political parties. What is stopping the young people in this country? And I've asked you that question, is not coming out clear from you. What is stopping these young people in this country from forming a political party or supporting political parties that have been fronted by young people in this country so that it can actually come to be something? Case in point, what happened to the Inject party that was being fronted by one Morara?
Okay, again, let me now be clear about this. The challenge that we are facing, of course, we are young people. If you look at the Gen Z age bracket, most of them are below 30 years.
That's it.
And we have the Zillennials who belong neither to the millennials or to the Gen Z, who are in their early 30s. So you find that these struggles, they come with, you know, for you to gain experience, you really need to take part in the struggle for a long time. The birth of the economic liberation struggle came in 2024. And young people, okay, we are inexperienced in the first place. We've not served in those senior positions so that we can gain the political experience. We are just trying to learn through our mistakes. Look at the Inject party by Morara Kebaso. He failed to get support of young people, mostly, into the party. And again, how was the party formed? Under what grounds was the party formed? And remember, there is also infiltration.
Is that not the best way to form a party? Because even some of the parties that we know are the biggest parties in the country, like ODM, it was formed just to give us a new constitution.
Okay.
The Orange Democratic Movement, it started from a movement to give us a constitution. Why couldn't Inject also begin like that, in the sense of, we've started this party because we feel there's bad leadership in this country, and we, the young people now, have come out to expose this and actually come up with proper leadership in the country.
Okay, there was need for a political movement, which was, you know, made in the likeness and the image of young people, especially at the aftermath of the 2024 Gen Z protest. However, the stages in which political parties are formed, I cannot sit here and you know, I think I spoke this to you. I have a friend who started a political party. It's called ATP. However, the challenge that we have, when you go, a few people of you, like 5 people or 10 people, you've registered a political party. And then you've come to the people to sell the ideologies of this political party. Look at how EFF was formed in South Africa. It was formed after the massacre in Marikana, and also the reforms that they were trying to champion were inside the ANC, but were suppressed. And that's why Julius Malema and the team, Kina Floyd Chivambo, and the rest, they came up and said, no, we have to form a movement which is in the image and likeness of young people. Now, the Inject party, they miss something. When you want to form a political organization that mirrors the interest of the people, first of all, we have to move across the country and collect the views of the young people. What is it that these young people want? Yes, the finance bill brought us together and we voiced our concern as a team. However, there are different aspirations of these young people all over. And again, you cannot take a political movement and try to be the face of it, especially in the struggle for economic liberation. That cannot work. The only thing that you do is to go to the grassroots, Consolidate those people, let them give you their views, sit with them and have conversations. Once we've had the conversations, note down and then come together, consolidate them, put them into a piece of paper, call it the party constitution and the frameworks. And it has to be a pro-people party. It's not an individual briefcase where when you look at Inject Party, you see Kebaso Morara. You don't have to see that. The Inject Party, when you look at it, you should see that boy in Turkana who is really struggling to gain education.
Yes.
You know, when you look at it, you look at, you know, the issues that we are facing right now at the grassroots level. Let the people own the movement. Registration of political parties, we have so many registered political parties. In fact, even DCP was purchased. Most of these national parties are purchased by these individuals who are already known, and then they are owned by them. Why would we commercialize political parties? Let us go to the grassroots. There's a lot of civic education has to be done.
Yes.
There's a lot of consolidation, and there's a lot of views that we need to collect from these young people. It was before the 2022 elections. We had moved across Nairobi. Our team, we had called ourselves the National Youth Assembly. It was a National Youth Assembly because we started in Dagoretti North constituency where we are, and then we went to Kibra constituency, we went to Makadara,
Yes.
we went to Dagoretti South, we went to Westlands. We held meetings in halls, and we called young people and told them, can you tell us the challenges that you are facing? I was surprised. You see those challenges that you sit in a room and try to imagine. They are brought out by these young people in a very different view. And by the time we were in our 6th meeting, I had learned a lot that I didn't know. So you find that there are a lot of voices outside with different conflicting ideas. And you find that if you don't give them this platform to come together and then ask them, do you want us to form a political party? Do you want us to form just a political movement?
Yes.
Do you want us to form an NGO?
Yes.
Do you want to form, what do you want us to form? If they tell you we need a political party, then proceed. People should not register political parties with the money that they've gotten from their own pockets or their own sources.
That's it.
It should be people-led, it should be people-financed, so that the people can own it. In fact, you don't need to be the face of a political movement because we are looking at the lifeline of this political party.
That's it.
After you've gone, after you've left, the way Raila Odinga has left today, where is ODM?
So the question, and probably we should have started like this morning. I gotta put this to you, Victor. If we want to learn where we are as a country in the way that our youth view some of the political decisions that we make as a country, I've got to take you back to 2022. And I'm going to read for you very interesting numbers here. The last census report that was carried out in the country indicated that 70% of the Kenyan population is below the age of 35. So you have so many youth in this country between the age of 18 to 35. These are guys who can actually go take a voter's card and vote today, Victor. All right, let's look at the numbers. I mean, you can say that we are 50 million Kenyans thereof, going by our last census then. Only 22 million people registered to conduct the 2022 general election. Now hold on, out of that, we had 14 million adults, people above the age of 35 who registered. So we only had 8 million youth in this country, Victor, who went out, picked a voter's card and registered, ready to vote. But listen, our voter turnout was 64.77%, meaning that out of these 22, only 14 million people went out to vote. I mean, if you do simple mathematics and say, if we only had 14 million adults and 8 million, and then you give it to, you bring it back to 64%, then you're going to find that roughly around 3 million young people in this country went out to vote in the 2022 general elections. 3 million in a population where 70% are youth in this country. Why are we here pretending that the Kenyan youth in this country actually do want to make a change, Victor? Can't you see where the problem is? That even as we sit here very well, we know very well that these numbers here are never going to be any different come the 2027 general elections. The young people in this country, number one, do not vote. Number two, do not register to vote. Number 3, do not care about changing the political conversation in this country, Victor. Why are we pretending then that we'll sit here and waste our time in the studio in the morning talking about what the problems of the youth are, when in reality, today, as a youth in this country, if we decided today that all of us are going to register and vote in one direction, which, by the way, you and I are not going to lie to each other. We know. If the youth vote today, we know where they're going to vote. But where are they? I mean, they don't take cards, they don't vote, they don't register. Why don't we want to change, Victor? Yes. Victor, and let me also add some detail here, by the way, so that you enrich your response as well. If again going to look at the 2022 general election, I gotta go. We can even break it down to the counties and even constituencies. I will tell you that it's only in one constituency where we had an 80% voter turnout. Even within the constituencies levels, we couldn't hit 100%. We couldn't even hit 90%. The lowest turnout being Mombasa. Now wait for it, 44%. Less than 50% of the people who were registered went out to vote. You know, when you look at the general numbers again, Victor, that makes it even worse. Because then when you look at the percentage of the youth who are registered to vote, which is way lower than the adults, and then less than a half of those go out to vote, you can actually make an assumption that no youth voted in that region. Garissa and Kwale also recorded 55%. If you look at where we are right now, you can actually say that the only conversation that we should be having, as it were, as the youth in this country, is to tell the youth, go out, pick a vote, and go register to vote. That you and I couldn't be here today talking about youth leadership. We could be finding this solution immediately. But we are not finding it.
That's a very critical question. First of all, there are factors that influence the speed of the people to work. If you look at the current places,
yes,
and the people that are at the forefront trying to mobilize support so that they can take power, look at the united opposition, look at the side of the government. There is a very thin difference between them. If you look at Gachagua, he has served in this government.
Yes.
If you look at Kalonzo, he ever served.
Again, Victor, again, I have to cut you short again this morning. I don't know why your mic is not agreeing with us this morning. Oof, I don't know. All right, as we try and fix it, Victor, you want to come in and also respond to this. I would also give you some of the stats that we have from 2022, so that once we come back, then you'll be informed on exactly where we are. If you look at the counties that had the total, the highest number of votes that were cast was in Nairobi, which we do know as well is leading in terms of the young people within it. It recorded 1.3 million registered voters. Kiambu also had 830,826, and Nakuru 691,673 as the total number of voters registered. So the question that we're going to ask Victor then this morning is, we're here asking what the youth voice is, but nobody in this country is talking about helping the youth register and asking the youth to go out there, take their voter's card to go out and vote. Should that be the question? Are we talking about a problem that doesn't exist? Are we talking about solving a problem that the youth themselves in this country do not want to solve? Why is the youth voice if they do not vote? We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, we'll look at this issue.
recall the doctor telling me that day, he said, Sarah, I'm sorry about what happened to you, but you see, life happens. You would have to learn to work with your hands, depend on your hands more.
And today, if you're going through anything that you do not understand, just call on this name, Jesus, and he will save you.
I realized I loved music when I was about 7 or 8. I used to puff my cheeks and play the 12-bar blues. Like I'd walk around the house doing like...
Why do we need the Holy Spirit?
I mean, if you look at what Jesus said when he was leaving, he said he is going and that he will send the Holy Spirit as our helper.
So God knows everything since the end, from the beginning, has a plan for your life. So to find that plan for your life, you must find God. When you find God, you will know the path for your life.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
Welcome back. Hopefully this time will be good. We keep on apologizing for the technical difficulties that we're facing this morning, but I think we're good now. Victor, I want you to jump into that question. If Kenyans, young Kenyans, can't take a voter's card, go register to go vote, then why are we wasting our time here this morning? I would have liked to call you where we talk about KCSE and grade 9 examinations, because what proclaim are we trying to talk about this morning if the same people were supposed to come in and be a solution and not giving a damn about it?
Simba, when you look at the previous election, the 2022 elections, the voter turnout was really low. It was actually very concerning.
Yes.
And most people, it's not that they were not registered. Even those who are already registered saw no need of waking up to go and vote, because they felt like there is no change after all. The same monkeys, different, the same forest, different monkeys.
Victor, regardless of what your response on that is, the composition of the young people in this country registered to vote in that 2022 voters register, it was just 8 million, Victor, in a population where 70% of our population is youth. Why can't we represent those figures? Like they say, ukienda mali wanatengeza ugali, yes, utakula ugali mingi sana, but within that period, pia utakula ngwashe. Why are we not taking ugali as a nation? Because we are an ugali nation. Why is it that every time we go take an election, time ya tunapata, sisi tunakula ngwashe? Why is it that only 8 million young Kenyans register to vote in 2022.
Just an addition to that, and I think you allow me now,
Yes.
addition to that kind of statistics, 70% of the population in this country are poor people. Only like 30% control the means of production. So young people constitute the largest workforce in this country.
Yes.
Actually, we are the labor pool in this country. And if you look keenly, you will find that we don't have trade unions in this era that are fighting for the interest of the workers. So the workers are underrepresented. And the same workers are the people who are expected to turn out and vote for change.
Yes.
The question now comes in, what change are these young people going to vote for? The problem is not going to vote. The problem is, what am I going to vote for? Look at the current figures that we have in government. They've worked with each other. If you look at all of them, the united opposition, they've all worked and served in the same government. It's just that they've differed at this point, but again, they might reunite in future. So we have the same faces all the time. So the problem is not about people turning out to vote. Remember when the Gen Z protest appeared, nobody was funding it, but people could get even their own money from the pockets to make it to town. No politician was involved, no political class, but people did it out of will. You find that when people see there is a change that they're going to fight for, they will just wake up automatically and go and fight for it. But right now, if I ask you, why are you going to vote? Are you going to choose between Matiang'i and Ruto in 2027 or Kalonzo or whoever? They're the same faces. These people have worked in the same government. Matiang'i worked in the Jubilee government as a minister. Ruto was there as a deputy president. Yes. So they're the same people. And these people are going to divide power against themselves. And if they have to take it to the streets to be included in the government, they will do it. We don't have a pro-people organization at its stands in this country right now. Lecturers are on strike. How many political parties have come in solidarity with lecturers? Political parties are supposed to be formed based on people who have the same aspirations and who even knows the constitution of these political parties, what it speaks about. The other day we saw Gideon Moi united with William Ruto. The Kanu Youth Congress, they had they called for a media briefing and they said we disassociate ourselves from the unity between William Ruto and our party leader who is Gideon Moi, the Kanu chairman. But what did the party do? They proceeded regardless. So this tells you that most of these political organizations do not mirror the aspirations of young people. And that's why we are trying to introduce this conversation about economic liberation. The problem we have in this country right now, it's not about someone from your tribesman representing you. It's no longer that. It's about how is my economic status, right? If I'm employed and my neighbor is employed, we live in the same, we're in the same class. So you find that there are two classes of people in this country. We have the bourgeoisies and we have the proletariats, according to Karl Marx. And this tells you that our economy is a bourgeoisie-led economy. How do we know this? We are seeing cases of, it's called accumulation by dispossession. Accumulation by dispossession, it brings us to a point of, we have privatization. Right now we are privatizing all public entities in this country. If we are privatizing all these public entities, then these public entities were funded by the taxpayers' money. Where is the public in this equation, right? So we are led in an economy that individuals are taking over the means of production, and in the end, the proletariats, and remember the 70% of the population you're talking about are young people, and they constitute the largest labor pool in this country. No one is defending them. Right now, I do deliveries. The delivery companies are just, they're something else. The earnings of the riders are being slashed all the time. But who is there to defend them? If there was a political movement which came in and said no, Uber, Glovo, and all these big giant delivery companies, can you pay your riders well? No, it will not take me a lot of civic education to go and register as a voter so that I can elect this party. So the political parties that we have, they are just centered on consolidating to accumulate power rather than policy formulations. Yes. When last did we have a political organization which engaged the people on policy formulation? The other day we saw DCP came up, but DCP is made up of the bitterness of Gachagua from the UDA government. It's not about the people. How did they come up to how was DCP formed? It's just a political party which had been registered by someone else. And it was bought, it was purchased from that person. And then the figure of the party now, it's Gachagua. He became the party leader. Who elected him to be the party leader? You know? So we need pro-people organizations. People will not need to be forced to go and register as voters. Young people are very intelligent.
That's it.
And most people don't see it. Because ask yourself, the IBC, the offices are open. Why are young people not going to register? So because they see no need of registering.
That's it. So the irony then being is that we're calling young people in this country intelligent. But Victor, are they? Are they?
They are.
I mean, if status quo remains, even after they go to the streets and voice their actions, after nothing is done, why are we still sitting here saying, oh, now these guys are disgruntled, they won't even vote?
You know,
is that intelligence, Victor?
There was a conversation which went on, and people said, this one-term slogan is just a distraction. There is no way you can remove a sitting government through the what? Through the ballot. Because these people appoint, you know, they appoint what? They appoint the electoral, the chairperson of the IBC. You know, they're in control of all, you know, even when procurement is done of these voting materials, they're the people in charge. People were arguing that the only way to bring a change in this country is through the streets. That's what people were arguing. And there was this debate about occupy where, occupy state house, occupy all over. Look at what has happened in Tanzania. Do you want to tell me that those young people in Tanzania in the streets, they really did not want to go and make a decision at the ballot? They were willing, but they were never given the option that they will choose. The opposition leader, who is Tundu Lissu, is in prison. The deputy chairperson of Chadema party was also arrested. So this was a race between Suluhu and Suluhu. Young people were ready to go and make the change. But now in Tanzania, it acted differently. They actually removed the option that you want, and then they tell you now go and vote. Did young people go and vote in Tanzania? No, they opted to go to the streets, and they were met with brutal forces. So even in Kenya, Ruto is telling you go and register as a voter. Well, he's laughing. He knows. He's in control of the numbers. He has the resources. He knows what to do.
Yes, but now, what does he know, Victor? He knows the young people in this country, and it hasn't started now. I mean, if you're taking those stats back to 2022, even beyond 2022, you can even go back to 2017. If those stats still remain, that's a trend. It's a scientific trend that in this country, young people just do not vote. And by the way, you've seen the slogans, and I've seen the memes on social media, that the Gen Z in this country, and I'm saying the young people in this country, just do not have patience to even go and line up to take a voter's card and vote. And it's not us who know that, it's the leadership in this country that know that young people in this country do not vote, regardless of what it is.
Elijah,
when I know your weakness, why can I not exploit it, Victor?
Elijah, I'm a young person in this country. I'm below 35 years, and I voted in the last elections.
That's it.
It's not that young people do not vote. Young people do not turn out in their numbers to vote. But why does it happen so? Are we investigating the reason behind that? I'm sure you voted.
Yes,
you're a young person,
yes,
right?
I did vote, Victor. But hold on,
William Ruto,
even
just
before,
a minute.
Just hold on, Victor. I want you to express this. The only thing that you've not really spoken about this morning, regardless of what the numbers are saying, regardless of what would make somebody not vote in this country, is that what is stopping these young people from coming up with their own representation and take it all the way to the top? You and I can't come here every day and start crying about how these political parties are formed, how the ruling class of this country are not representing us, when we have the numbers, Victor. We have the numbers.
Let me respond that swiftly. Why are young people not consolidating and form a political force?
That's it. That's the only question that we need to answer.
That's the only question.
Yes.
First of all, Elijah, when I started, I told you that it's a process. Coming up with a political movement which mirrors the aspiration of young people cannot just happen overnight. If you look at the political parties that have shot really fast, you know, look at DCP. They're well funded. And look at the people leading the party. They're leading the party because they have the economic muscle. Look at young people in this country. We don't have the economic muscle. We are really struggling. Do you know, 70% of young people, in fact, it's almost 90% of young people in this country, they're trying to find the economic freedom, but they don't know where, you know? So the current architecture of political organizations in this country favors the rich people. Because if I have money today, I'm able to go and purchase a political party. I don't even need to go through the process of registering a new political party. I just go and purchase, the same way Johnson Sakaja said he sold Jubilee to Uhuru Kenyatta. So he took the party and auctioned the party. After you've auctioned the party, I have the resources to create the structures that I just need to protect me.
Yes.
So if we want to come with a pro-people organization, it's going to take time.
That's it.
And movement and logistics alone.
Yes.
Let me tell you, because I mirror this, I'm trying, okay, I am in the space of economic liberation. And one of the strategies that we must use is to travel and talk to young people across this country. Do you know logistics alone? Do you know how much a political rally costs? Similar to that of William Ruto and maybe Rigathi Gachagua. It's very costly.
Yes, regardless of what it is. I mean, you and I have also been in this country, Victor, where, and I'm sorry to use this example, when Raila Amolo Odinga was launching his 2017 campaign, if I'm not sorry, and they stood with Kalonzo Musyoka, and they gave Kenyans a pay bill. And we saw the support that those two gentlemen who were running that campaign received in a pay bill. We have examples. Morara Kebaso is one example. He's a man who asked Kenyans to come and donate so that he could go around the country and expose the corruption that's going on in majority of the political offices in the country, and we did see it happening. The problem is gotta be, and the question is gotta be around us lacking a voice, and I'll give you an example of what we saw. And I'll give them without failing to mention names. When that gentleman called Makure stood up and said, I want to front myself as the leader in this movement, you saw the backlash that he received. I mean, it was thrown out. It was told, who gave you the permission to lead us in this movement? We are tribals, we are ageless, we are pointless. All we want is good governance. We're going to push our agenda all the way to the top. And we did see, became a weak point, was immediately absorbed into government, isn't it? Morara Kebaso, guys came out and said, we're going to become useless, you know? And you and I would look at those trends online, that young people would come in and disapprove any young person who would want to stand up and be a voice of their movement. That we as a young people in this country are very, very easy to kill a movement. You, Victor, this morning, your friend is starting a party called ATP. Instead of you applauding this guy and saying the young person who's come up with a party that probably is going to get support of the young people in this country, you're saying, that's not the way.
Okay,
why are we killing our moves?
Okay, we are not killing our moves. What happens, let me reflect to the case of, let's say, Morara Kebaso.
That's it.
Morara Kebaso came in at a time that young people were really vigilant and were trying to get a political solution.
Yes.
However, forming a political movement that will match the capacity of the current political movements, it's not a microwave affair. It's not a popcorn affair where you just come in and things happen. You have to pay the price. If you look at the history of ANC in South Africa, how it was formed, from 1902 or 12?
Yes.
All the way it came to take power when? In 1994. So you find that it's been a series of struggle. It's been a series of consolidation. And remember, in this environment that you're going to form a political organization, there are also infiltrators. The government also sends infiltrators to bring you down. What Morara Kebaso did, Morara Kebaso gave up too early. I remember him calling for a press statement and saying, I've quit politics. Nowadays, I see in his timelines, he's trying to sell furniture to Kenyans. So that tells you that the struggles are there. The struggles are real. It's not going to be easy. It's possible, yes, but it's not going to be easy. About a friend of mine who started the ATP party, I'm not against it. I'm actually in full support of it.
Yes.
But the question is, how did he arrive at the decision of forming and naming it ATP? No, we should form political organizations that mirror the aspirations and the opinions of the people. The challenge that we are facing in this country right now is that political parties are formed, you know, around individuals. When you look at Wiper, you see Kalonzo. When you looked at ODM, you saw Raila Odinga. And that's why you see the name Odinga has to be maintained for ODM to be relevant. And that's why it's now Oburu Odinga, not Raila Odinga. When you look at DCP right now, you see Rigathi Gachagua. When you look at UDA, you see William Ruto. You know, when you look at DAP Kenya, you see Eugene Wamalwa. It shouldn't be like that. Who arrived at the decision of forming that political organization? Who did you consult? I cannot start, okay, I'm good, I can write the constitution, I can do all things, I can afford the 100,000 to go. Do you know the procedure of forming a political party in this country? You need to have at least, 2,000 membership in more than half of the counties, you know, for you to be a full political organization with existing offices. How many political organizations can clearly come out and tell you that they've met that threshold? You know, there's provisional registration and there's full registration. Provisional registration, you pay 100,000. You go sit and mobilize resources, go register provisionally. And then you need 1 million shillings to go and for full registration with proof of these offices and the headquarters. Do you have that capacity? Where do you get the capacity? It's from the people. Because when we start from the people first, before forming the organization, you know, it's going to be very easy to get the numbers and also to get the resources. Because if you have a total of 2,000 times, let's say half of the counties, we have 47 counties. Those are around 23, 24 counties, times 2,000 people. How many people are we talking about? You know, these people can easily fund the movement. Who is funding these organizations? Who is funding these youth parties? Muraya Kebaso gave out a pay bill, but there was no accountability of those resources Kenyans were contributing. You know, he kept asking them, but there is no accountability. He did not have a team that is handling, you know, the resources. All he was doing, he was saying, I cannot disclose, but well, we bought a PA system. People were asking, why should you buy a PA system of worth millions of shillings, and yet we can use simpler means to reach more masses? So it was an issue of accountability, and it was an issue of who has given you permission to call yourself the president of the Gen Zs. The Gen Z said they are leaderless.
That's it, that quote right there, that quote right there, that the Gen Z say they're leaderless. Here we are speaking about the young people in this country who are saying, we don't like this leadership. We don't like the political decisions that are being made in this country. When they call out to vote, we see no reason to go pick a vote, to go register, to go vote, even go on the line. When you look at the numbers, it's 22 million Kenyans who are registered to vote currently as it is, going by the latest numbers, and only 8 million Kenyans, young Kenyans in this country are registered to vote. But when you turn around, you ask them, so why you not doing it? Then they say, we are partyless, we are leaderless. How are you gonna change a country, Victor, if any other person who stands to actually represent you as young people in this country is rejected, saying, who made you our leader? Who gave you the permission to go across the country and call out on this political class that is corrupt? Why can't we support? Second question, what is stopping these young people in these bigger political parties, case in point, the likes of Sifuna, the likes of Baboino, to actually pull out and say, you know what? Let's start a young people movement in this country as we head into the 2027 political period. Aren't we seeing the same trend that we want to discourage here this morning? That, hey, you know, I gotta be in ODM, I gotta be in Jubilee, I gotta be in UDA if I'm gonna talk to the young people. But the same thing young people are the ones who don't want these parties that we're talking about here this morning.
Okay, let me respond to the first question. You're asking, where did we stop the leaders who try to impose themselves?
This thing about being partyless, leaderless.
About partyless and leaderless, there was a reason behind that. You know, the government works well with organized structures, and we've seen it. The people that were fronted as our leaders, purportedly our leaders, there are now claims coming out that they were actually projects of the government to infiltrate the movement, to actually hold the movement and direct it to the direction that the government wanted.
Yes.
This issue could be solved very simply, because if we had gone across the country, consolidated and took the views of young people, then we converged somewhere and decided, can we now decide who is going to be our leader? We already know what we want. And if that individual goes against the constitution or the aspirations of young people, then we shall say that we are kicking you out to bring in a different leadership.
Yes.
It will be easy, but you could not just come out. You know, the young people said we are leaderless. It's simply because they wanted to hold the current leadership into account. So secondly, about, you know, killing the dream of these young people or so on, You have to convince us. And wherever you go astray, young people can see. And I told you that young people of this country are really intelligent. Look at Makaure. He came out imposing himself as the leader of the Gen Z. Where did he end up? He ended up in ODM.
It was after he was told, you can't be our leader. Who appointed you?
Then why did he change his stand later on and decided to go this side?
If you kick me out...
And who sent him to represent us?
That's the question.
No one sent him.
But Victor, that's the question. That's the question. So what are we waiting for?
So
what are we waiting for as a young people? We don't want a leader. We don't want to be represented. We don't want to vote. We don't want a political party. We don't want the status quo across the country. So what are we waiting for? Again, 2027 will come. Votes are going to be, the election is going to be done. We're going to go out and say we didn't vote. So why would we complain? Why can't we have a leader? As you move to your second question, what is stopping these leaders in these parties, the likes of Babu Wino, the likes of Sifuna, who are complaining so much about how these parties are being had? Sifuna is fighting a war, and you've seen it. Even the day before yesterday, he was actually telling the party members of ODM that, look here, this nonsense for 2 terms that you're chanting in a political party should stop. That we as a political party need to move in a different direction. What is stopping him from saying, well, I can't be here because I don't stand for these ideals? And here we are saying that those 2 leaders, they enjoy majority of the youth support in this country. What is stopping them from saying, you know what, we have the young people backing in this country. The young people are the majority. Let's go out and come up with our party.
For the case of Babu Wino and Edwin Sifuna, I think they are elected members representing, they were nominated by the ODM party.
That's it.
And they are serving their term in parliament, and they also hold some positions in the party.
Yes.
For example, Edwin Sifuna is the Secretary General of ODM party.
That's it.
So these parties absorbed them, and they've always served their interest. So right now coming out and saying I'm leaving means you're also resigning from the position that you hold. And how many will take that risk of resigning? That is where leadership comes in. So about why young people are not, what are they waiting for? Young people are yearning for what we call economic liberation. And that's why I'm wearing this beret today. The economic liberation struggle, it's an intellectual kind of struggle. It's not a physical kind of struggle. When we fight for democracy, sometimes it gets physical. We have to go to the streets and do this and that and that. Of course, even in the economic liberation struggle, we have to go to the streets. But this is a new baby that is being born. You cannot expect this baby to be born today, crawl and start running immediately and doing things that adults are doing. These political organizations, they started elsewhere and they've gotten to where they are. Look at Raila Odinga. He passed on at the age of 80. And when was ODM formed? He was first elected as a member of parliament at the age of 47 years. And then ODM is celebrating 20 years. That tells you that ODM has been in existence for the last 20 years. And by the time Raila Odinga founded the ODM party and led it, actually he was 60 years old. But most of us young people are in our 20s. We are just trying to learn from, we are actually paying attention into how this political game is being played. Yeah. It's gonna take us time to get there. But the question is, have we started? The answer is yes, we've started. And you can see the EFF here. That's why I'm here today. We've started this conversation towards economic liberation.
That's it.
Yeah.
Take a minute to respond to this final question, then I have for you here this morning. And I've got this question from Joshua this morning. And this is what he's saying. I'm just trying to summarize. He's saying, how are you doing this morning? Say hi to your guest this morning. I like the conversation so far. But then he says, young people in this country need to vote. All our problems would go away. We have the numbers, but we do not vote. The political class in this country know that the young people are not serious. They just make noise online and they go sleep. If we're going to make a change, the only thing that needs to happen is that the young people need to take this period out, register, and then have one voice of where to vote. Then goes on to say, trust me, if you register in numbers and get to around 20 million as young people, the political class in this country will listen. Is that it? 1 minute.
That is a good statement from my brother. All I want to, I think I've answered this before, and I want to say it categorically that the political organization that exists in this country currently, they do not mirror the aspirations of young people. And people are going just to register to vote, but they have to choose between the menu of what they've been presented to. And if they don't want to take anything from that menu, or they, there's little that they like about that menu, it becomes a challenge. These political organizations must go out of their way and explain their agenda to these young people and tell them, this is the reason as to why you need to register to vote so that you can elect this party that exists into power. But currently what we are seeing is that the political organizations in this country, which are the political parties, they are actually, they bear the masks of these individuals that we see, and people hold different opinions about these people because they've been serving in government before. About registering to vote, I encourage young people to register as voters. Go out and register in your numbers as voters. Even as we try to come up with an alternative of leadership, go out and register and vote. Let us abandon this culture of last minute rushing to go and vote. And let us not leave it to the political class to dictate who is going to register and who is not going to register, because most will come with resources and they will say, for me to win this seat, I need 5,000 registered voters. And the target is the Gen Z. Every political party is targeting the Gen Z, but they are not coming up with the policies and the correct policies that the Gen Zs are advocating for. And that, what the young people want is the struggle for economic emancipation and struggle for economic liberation. And that's where we come in as the economic freedom fighters. We actually have a plan of going out. We are out already, but we are going out to each and every county in this country to try and mobilize young people under a single agenda, and they bring their aspiration and views so that we can make a political organization in the image and likeness of young people of this country.
Very much. Guess what? 22 million Kenyans registered to vote in 2022. 14 million Kenyans stand up to vote. Now, population of over 40 million eligible people to vote in this country. I wonder, are the Kenyan young people going to vote this time around? 70% of the population of Kenyans is young. Choice is yours, man. Victor, thank you very much for joining us this morning, sir. Take him back online to the time that he joined us this morning at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. Talk to us. The hashtag is The Morning Drift. I'll see you tomorrow for another conversation. Good morning and goodbye.
We value your feedback and welcome your complaints about our programming and operations.